In Chapter 7, we're going to talk about researching your speech. We're going to look at what research is, developing a research strategy, and then also just citing sources. It's one of the most important things in speeches that we're going to talk about. So in general, to begin with, there are three parts of research. The first is discovering information. So that is research that people did that was the very first or that was novel on the topic. Second is parts of research or where individuals have revised former research, so they've done studies that have supported or contradicted original research. And then finally, there's types of research where it reports other research. There are two main types of research that we're going to talk about. The first is primary research, which is research you conduct. In terms of speeches, this would be any time that you survey an audience or individuals, that you interview someone to get their opinion on the topic. So for example, if you were talking about why homework should be eliminated, maybe you do some research and do interviews with teachers or students. Then secondary research is research that others have done that you report. You will be using a lot of secondary research in the class as you support the claims that you make in your speeches, especially when we get to the persuasive speeches. So some things you want to consider when developing a research strategy are you need to set aside time to research your topic. One of the biggest mistakes people make is they think they choose a topic that they know about, that they don't have to research it, and that's just not true. You need to find research that supports what you are wanting to say. You also need to just have a general understanding of the topic. If you're giving a speech on it, you need to be credible. You need to understand the topic from multiple point of views. So some things you can do are to determine your needs. So ask yourself things like, what do I know about my topic? Where are some clear gaps in my topic that I need to increase my understanding of? Is there any primary research that I should conduct for my speech? So would it be helpful for me to interview someone or to conduct any surveys? And then what type of secondary research do I need? Do I need to look at just facts? Do I need to look at theories that help explain facts? Or do I need to look at times that those have been applied? Additionally, some things when you're finding resources, you can use both non-academic sources and academic sources. They provide you with different information. Some of the benefits of non-academic sources are that they're easily understood. Most of them are written at a very low 6th to 8th grade reading level, so the general public can understand them. So it's information that's easier to understand. And sometimes, so for example, if you were doing an informative speech on a hobby, non-academic resources are more helpful than academic resources. And then, of course, there are academic sources, which include scholarly books, articles, and databases. As a student at Grayson College, you have access to a ton of scholarly research just through the Grayson library webpage, which I did link in the chapter annotations. We didn't do chapter annotations, which if you go to the Grayson library webpage, there are links to databases that give you scholarly information. In general, when you're evaluating research, you want to look at 4 things. So when is the information published? If it's published in like the 1980s and you're talking about the most recent cancer research, you're probably not using the best information that's there. You want to consider who is the author and the publisher. Are they credible? What sort of biases do they have? You want to look at, is the research academic or non-academic? And then also, have other people cited their work, and is the work replicated? If it just is on one website, you can't see it anywhere else, it may be information that isn't the most credible. One of the most important things that you have to do when using research in a speech is that you have to cite it. You have to both cite it in your outline, but you also have to cite your sources verbally or say them orally in your speech. And so you want to consider some ways to do that. The chapter 7 gives you some really good examples of how to incorporate sources and how to cite those in the speech itself. Remember, you do need to cite your sources if you're direct quoting or paraphrasing. And you want to make sure that you use all of your sources ethically. Of course, you want to avoid plagiarism. You want to avoid things like academic fraud. Some examples of that are buying speeches that are written through paper mills. They're very easy to identify and find. So do make sure that you avoid those things. You don't want to mislead the audience, so don't take things out of context and tell them a source says something that it really doesn't. And then always give the author credentials when you're citing the source. So if I said, you know, according to Joe Smith, 90% of people will get a ticket at some point in their lifetime. You need to tell me who Joe Smith is. If Joe Smith is a police officer, Joe Smith is you know, just a random person, those kind of information helps. So make sure you tell the author credentials that are there. Gathering research and using research appropriately is very important for your speeches. And so you want to pay attention to and make sure that you're supporting your claims and that you're doing so in an ethical way. Thanks.